Mutapa, aka Mutapa, Mutapa and Monomotapa, was a South African kingdom located north of modern-day Zimbabwe along the Zambezi River that flourished between the mid-15th and mid-17th centuries. Although sometimes described as a kingdom, there is little evidence that the Shona people of Mutapa ever ruled the area. Prosperous with local resources of gold and ivory, the kingdom traded with Muslim traders on the coast of East Africa and then the Portuguese during the 16th century. The kingdom suffered a setback when weakened by civil war, and the Portuguese conquered its territory around 1633 AD. One. History of decline. In Tihi 15th century CE, the Kingdom of Great Zimbabwe, circa 1100 CE, was in decline and any connection with the lucrative coastal trade on the Swahili coast was suspended. This was probably because the gold reserves were depleted in the territory controlled by the kingdom. Additional factors may include overpopulation, overwork on land, and deforestation, leading to food shortages that may be brought to a crisis point by a series of droughts. By the second half of the 15th century CE, the Bantu-speaking Shona people had migrated several hundred kilometers north from Great Zimbabwe to lands where they had displaced native pygmies and small tribes fleeing into forests and deserts. The exact relationship between Great Zimbabwe and Mutapa is unknown other than that archaeology has shown the two kingdoms to have very similar pottery, weapons, tools, and luxury manufactured items such as jewelry. 2. Mutapa Kingdom. The Mutapa Kingdom is sometimes, despite the lack of evidence from the administrative apparatus, flattering to be described as the Mutapa Kingdom. The kingdom would, however, nominally control the area south of the bend of the Zambezi River in what is now northern Zimbabwe and a small piece of southern Zambia. Here in the valley of the Mazo, a tributary of the Zambezi, the kingdom prospered and was able to conquer, or at least exert some form of domination over neighboring kingdoms such as Manyika, Utive, and Mbara. There are also deposits of alluvial gold and coral reefs but not as rich as those found in Great Zimbabwe. Outside of these areas, it is not known exactly where the borders of the Mutapa Kingdom were, except that its heart was the Mukarangan region. Three. King and government. The chieftains or kings of Shona bore the royal title Mwene Mutapa, which means, Lord of Metal, or, Lord of Plunder, and they were also heads of the royal religion. They wore or carried hoes and spears as their official insignia which were made of gold and ivory. The king lived in a closed complex with a separate building for the queen and another group for the royal servants. The latter group usually consists of men under the age of 20 who come from the families of subjugated tribal chiefs and their attendance is guaranteed according to Mutapa rules. When these young men were old enough to become warriors, they were sent home and given their own plots of land or territory to govern in order to ensure their future loyalty. 4. Trade. Gold, ivory, copper, animal skins, and slaves, obtained from areas under Mutapa control, were exchanged for other goods such as embroidered textiles and glass beads from India in the major trading cities that occupied the East African coast. Most important to Mutapa was the Sofala outpost, which was then controlled by the more northern city of Kilwa. These imported goods were then traded by Mutapa traders for gold and ivory obtained from the highland tribes. Trade was only ever in the hands of the ruling elite, and kings became rich from profits, a situation that only increased their prestige and authority when they gave gifts in exchange for loyalty. 5. Brief history. The capital was built in the 11th century at the end of the Iron Age and continued to expand into the 15th century. Covering an area of 1,780 hectares at the height of the kingdom, Great Zimbabwe will host up to 18,000 inhabitants. Great Zimbabwe's most formidable building, commonly referred to as the Great Cage, has 11 meters (36 feet) high walls that extend about 250 meters (820 feet), making it the largest ancient structure south of the Sahara Desert. The kingdom controlled the ivory and gold trade from inland to the southeastern coast of Africa through a network connected to Kilwa in present-day Tanzania. Glass beads from Persia, porcelain from China and coins from Arabia are just some of the artifacts discovered by archaeologists in Great Zimbabwe and evidence of the kingdom's wider international trade. Only recently has Great Zimbabwe been associated with indigenous Africans, as studies of monuments by academics were subject to political pressure by the government of Rhodesia, formerly the country's name Zimbabwe, to decide on monuments of true African heritage. That's 5 brief history of the Kingdom of Zimbabwe. Hope it is useful. Thank you.